Hey homies, welcome back to Something New Saturday. The Saturday where I show you something new. So I have the stamp set from Rubbernecker. I did show you the card that we made in the class with it, but we're gonna make another card. And this is gonna be a completely flat card. It's gonna have a matting layer and the stamp layer, and that's it. Let's get going. First thing we're gonna do is stamp and emboss this poppy image. I want to stamp it in black, and I'm going to emboss it with clear powder. Now this comes with fill images, so it's a layering stamp, but I'm actually going to paint mine in. Just peel this sweetie pie off of here. Anti-static powder. Oh no, not on there. Oh my, on there. Oh, Lord have mercy. It's been a long day. Stamp with Jet Black Archival. This is an oil-based permanent ink. So since it's oil-based, it takes a minute to dry. So you have plenty of time to heat emboss it. I'm going to put this right here. Add clear powder. All right, so I've got my stamped image. I made it, it's kind of worn looking. And that's kind of what I was hoping for. That's why I didn't put the stamp in the Misty and re-stamp, because I want it to be a little worn and faded. Now I'm gonna ink around this a little bit with Oxide Vintage Photo. And I'm just gonna use the blending tool. I am gonna trim this down when I'm done too. There we go. Give it a little water. And then give it a blot. Now, to paint my flower, I'm going to use Candied Apple, Abandoned Coral, and Mustard Seed. And these are oxides as well. So I'm going to take a wet brush, pick up a little mustard seed, and go for the center. And then a little abandoned coral. And then I'm going to go in with some candied apple. And just kind of add some more color in there. A little darker. Then if I feel like I need to touch up, I can. There we go. And just do all the flowers this way. I feel like that needs a little more yellow. So I'm going with Abandoned Coral. Quick and easy. Okay, I've got my Distress Oxide mustard seed out. I'm going to do a little splatter on here. This yellow. There we go. Now let this dry and pick out a different color of cardstock, because my flowers didn't turn out as red as I thought they were going to. Well, I didn't find anything that I liked, so I'm going to ink up this scrap of white cardstock with Abandoned Coral, I think. Normally I would prefer to use regular Distress for this, but I don't have it in Abandoned Coral, so Oxide it is. I'm just going to do kind of around the edges. And then I'll trim this down. And it can be our mat. All right, so we've got our abandoned coral panel trimmed down. And I'm just gonna center this on the card front. And now I need to trim this kid down. I was considering using one of these decal edge dies. These are Sizzix Tim Holtz. I thought that might look kind of neat. Okay, so I used the second largest to cut this out. I'm gonna go over those edges a little bit with Vintage Photo again. Vintage Photo. I'm gonna darken up very, very edges. There, that just really makes that stand out more. Now the sentiments with this set are friendship. Your friendship is a blessing. Your friendship is greatly appreciated. You're a true friend. Which one do we want? Your friendship is a blessing. I use a stamp positioner for this because I want to make sure that sentiment is good and dark. I don't want it to be worn like the rest of it. Go. And we'll just use our jet black archival. Yep. Do that a second time. That's so pretty. There we go. Nice and dark. I'm just gonna put this right on the card front. Flat card. Now, if you ink something up with a Distress or an Oxide and you're like, man, how come my stuff's not sticking? You need to hit your inked up paper with the heat tool. Because of the properties of the ink, stuff just doesn't like to stick to it. But if you heat it, then it dries whatever needs to dry completely inside of there to make things stick. I'm gonna stamp some poppies inside, because you know what I like to say, no naked insides. And we'll have them go off. Voila. All right, friends, here's my finished card project for Something New Saturday. This was a very simple card, but I really like the way it turned. I gotta tell you, I like the toys, the bells and whistles, and all the glitter as much as the next girl, probably more than a lot of people. Glitter especially. But sometimes it's nice to be able to just make a card or make a whatever without you know, putting pressure on yourself, right? To use all the things and make it the best thing you've ever made, or at least the best thing you've made in the last 3 weeks. Sometimes it's nice to just have a stamp set that can stand on its own. And I think this floral definitely stands on its own. I'm really happy with this. Like I said, it's a layering set, so you can use the fills or you can just color it in however you like. I think this would be lovely Copic colored, but I chose to go the watercolor route, and I used Distress Oxides to watercolor. So this stamp set is called Friendship Poppies. It's from Rubbernecker Stamps. Their stamps are made here in the US of A. So I didn't have a paper color to go with this, so I inked a piece of cardstock with abandoned coral, got it good and dry, cut it out, and then I cut this down with a decal edge Tim Holtz Sizzix die, and I used vintage photo oxide to add some color. Simple card. Y'all have a lovely day. Remember, be excellent to each other and go check out these stamps. Bye-bye.